You are listening to the Adult Sabbath School Lessons for the third quarter of 2022. This is lesson number 2 of the Adult Sabbath School Bible Study Guide in the Crucible with Christ. This lesson is titled The Crucibles That Come and is ready for teaching on July 9. The author is Pastor Gavin Anthony, who was conference president in Iceland when he wrote this series of lessons. Today your lesson is read by Dr. Percy Harrold. Sunday, July 3. Surprises. Beloved, do not think it strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12. Surprises, painful surprises, can come in many ways. A car veering across the road into your path, a sudden notification that you're losing your job, a medical test that gives you an unexpected bad news, betrayal by someone you loved and who you thought loved you. As bad as the pain can be, it's always made worse by the element of surprise. This week we will look at a few specific types of painful situations or crucibles that should not take us by surprise. To begin, let's go back to the text for today in Peter. The Greek word for surprised in 1 Peter 4:12 means to be alien or foreign. Peter is urging his readers not to fall into the trap of believing that fiery ordeals and trials are alien to the Christian experience. Rather, they are to be considered normal. They can and should be expected. The word used for fiery ordeal in the NIV or the NRSV, or fiery trial in the New King James Version, comes from another Greek word, and it means a burning. In other places, it is translated furnace. This experience of suffering for our faith could therefore be considered a smelting process, the process of the crucible. Read 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 12 through to 19. What is Peter's message? Beginning at verse 12 of 1 Peter chapter 4, Beloved, do not think it strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. But rejoice to the extent that you partake of Christ's sufferings, that when his ordeal is revealed, you may also be glad with exceeding joy. If you are reproached by the name of Christ, blessed are you, for the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you. On their part he is blasphemed, but on your part he is glorified. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, a thief, an evildoer, or as a busybody in other people's matters. Yet if anyone suffers as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God in this matter. For the time has come for judgment to begin at the house of God. And if it begins with us first, what will be the end of those who do not obey the gospel of God? Now, if the righteous one is scarcely saved, where will the ungodly and the sinner appear? Therefore, let those who suffer according to the will of God commit their souls to him in doing good, as to a faithful Creator. Many of us are surprised about suffering because we often have an oversimplified view of the Christian life. We know there are two sides, God, who is good, and Satan, who is bad. But often we then automatically put everything that feels good in the box with God and everything that feels bad in the box with Satan. But life is not so simple. We cannot use our feelings to decide what is in God's box or Satan's box. Sometimes walking with God can be challenging and hard, and following Satan can appear to bring great rewards. Job, who is righteous yet suffering, illustrates this when he asked in verse 7 of chapter 21, he asked God, "Why do the wicked live on, growing old and increasing in power?" And so to finish today, Peter was referring to trials that are the consequence of standing up for Christ. But there also are other reasons that trials come. How could 1 Peter 4:12-19 help you to explain tactfully to a friend why he or she should not be surprised at the painful trials they might face? This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.